going to do slow of anger again. A lot of distractions were happening.
But if you tried to describe what God is like, it could be difficult or daunting. But when the people who wrote the Bible pondered the mystery of God, they consistently describe God's character in this way: compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, overflowing with loyal love and faithfulness. We're going to look at this third phrase, that God is slow to anger. Now, that might surprise some people. Isn't the God of the Bible mostly angry, striking people down for their sins? Well, it turns out that God's anger in the Bible is way more nuanced than that, and way more interesting. In Hebrew, the phrase slow to anger is pronounced erek apayim, or literally long of nose. But what does God's patience have to do with a long nose? Well, first, we need to look at the common biblical Hebrew way to say that someone is angry. Their nose burned hot. Like in the story of Joseph, when Potiphar thinks that Joseph tried to sleep with his wife, his nose burned hot. It's usually translated, his anger burned. It's describing how your body, especially your face, gets hot when you're filled with anger. And so in Hebrew, the main words for anger are either nose or heat or hot nose. This is why a patient person is called long of nose. It takes a long time for their nose to get hot. Like in the biblical proverb, a person's wisdom is their long nose. That is, their slow anger. Now, in the Bible, God gets angry numerous times, but God doesn't have a nose or get hot. These are metaphors, using our experience of hot anger to describe how God feels when he witnesses human evil. Just like you would get angry if you saw a child being bullied on the playground, so God gets angry when humans oppress each other and ruin his world. In the Bible, God's anger is an expression of his justice and his love for the world. But he's slow to anger, which means he gives people lots of time to change. Like in the story of the Exodus, when Pharaoh enslaves the Israelites and has their baby boys thrown into the waters. God sends Moses to confront Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's given 10 chances to let Israel go free, but after the 10th refusal, Pharaoh rides out with his chariots to destroy the Israelites, and so God destroys him in the waters. Pharaoh's own evil is turned back upon him, and we read that this is an act of God's hot anger. Now, that's really intense, but think about it. God wouldn't be good if he didn't get angry at Pharaoh's evil and eventually do something about it. And notice that God's anger is expressed by handing Pharaoh over to the consequences of his own decisions. And this is actually how God's anger is shown throughout the scriptures, like in the story of the Israelites. Over and over again, for hundreds of years, they betray the God who rescued them from slavery. And though he gives them many chances to turn around, they keep giving their allegiance to the gods of other nations. And each time we read that the hot anger of God burned against the Israelites. But notice what always follows. God gave them over into the hands of their enemies. Israel wanted to serve the gods of other nations, and so God, in his just anger, gives them what they want, as those nations circle back and defeat Israel. This is similar to what the Apostle Paul says in his letter to the Romans. He says God's anger is being revealed against human evil, and then 3 times he says what that looks like. God hands people over to their destructive desires and decisions, even if it leads to death. But Paul also says God is patient, giving people time to come to their senses and change. Because remember, God's anger is a response to human evil, and it's based on a deeper character trait, his compassion and his loyal love. God is not content to let people sit in their own self-destruction. In the Bible, God's on a mission to rescue. This is why Jesus said that he was going to Jerusalem to die, as a demonstration of God's love for his enemies. He would stand in the place of his people who were choosing self-destruction and take the consequences of their decisions upon himself. In Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, we see God's anger at evil and his love for people working together to provide forgiveness and life for a humanity lost in self-ruin. So God's anger in the Bible is really important, but it's not the end of the story. When God is angry and brings justice, it's because he's good. And he's extremely patient, working out his plan to restore people to his love. And that's what it means to say that God is slow to anger.
when Yahweh is slow to anger, it's a long nose, which means that it takes a very long time. It takes a very long time for him to get angry. And usually when Yahweh brings destruction on someone, it's usually he lets the evil that they inflicted to fall on them. So like there's Pharaoh who drowned the babies, the Israelite babies. Right. And so when he in his anger just went hot pursuits.
God let the waters react.
Yep, he let the waters do their work. Or then when you have the Israelites serving other nations' gods. Then gets ruled by other nations. Correct. All right. Ready for reading? All right. Right. We are in what for everyone? We are in 1 Samuel. First Samuel chapter 13 verse 23 to chapter 14 verse 52. The fog of war. Jesus, your home amazing. Thank you that you, right in that video where it was on the cross where he took on the anger and also it was like the perfect the intersection between love and anger, where evil has to be dealt with. Like the just of Yahweh has to deal with evil. But then he sent himself in love to take on that evil onto his flesh. And so then the evil that was supposed to fall on us for our sins actually fell on Jesus' body. So as he lives, though, as he resurrected live, we also can resurrect live. So the Philistine outpost had gone out to the pass at Michmas. That day Jonathan, Saul's son, had said to the boy who was his arms bearer, "Come, let's cross over to the Philistines' outpost on the other side. Perhaps Yahweh will act on our behalf, because Yahweh has no difficulty delivering by many or by few." Jonathan said, "Right, we are going to cross over to the men and we'll let them see us. If they say to us, stay still until we reach you, we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say this, come up to us, we will go up, because Yahweh will have given them into our hands. This will be a sign for us." So the men of the outpost affirmed to Jonathan and his arms bearer, "Come up to us and we'll teach you something." And Jonathan said to his arms bearer, "Come up after me, because Yahweh has given them into the hands of Israel." Jonathan went up on his hands and feet with his arms bearer behind him, and they fell before Jonathan. Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring God's chest here," because God's chest was at that time with the Israelites. But while Saul spoke to the priest, the turmoil in the Philistine camp continued to go on and increase. So Saul said to the priest, "Take away your hand." And Saul and the entire company with him summoned themselves together and went into battle. Thus Yahweh delivered Israel that day. When the fighting passed beyond Beth Aven, the Israelite men were hard pressed that day. Saul laid an oath on the company, "Cursed is the man who eats food before evening, when I have gotten redress from my enemies." And the entire company tasted no food. But Jonathan had not heard his father make the company swear, and he put out the end of the cane in his hand into a honeycomb and brought it back into his mouth, and his eyes brightened. They struck down the Philistines that day from Michmas to Ajalon, and the company was very faint. And the company pounced on the plunder, got sheep, cattle, calves, and slaughtered them on the ground. The company ate with the blood. Saul was told, "Now the company are doing wrong in relation to Yahweh by eating with the blood." He said, "You have acted faithlessly. Roll a big stone to me now." Saul said, "Spread out among the company and tell them, Bring to me everyone his ox or sheep and slaughter here the neat. Saul asked God, shall I go after the Philistines? Will you give them into Israel's hands? But he did not answer him. In verses 34 to 43, 38 to 43, further inquiry establishes that the reason is Jonathan's disobeying Saul's oath. Saul said, may God do thus and more to me if you do not indeed die, Jonathan. But the company said to Saul, is Jonathan to die when he brought about this great deliverance for Israel? Certainly not. As Yahweh lives, not a hair of his head is to fall to the ground, because he brought it about this day with God. So the company redeemed Jonathan. He did not die. Verses 46 to 52 summarize the story of Saul's victories and his family. So Jonathan, who is Jonathan? He's Saul's son. And so right now they're at war with the Philistines. And so Jonathan, talking to his armor bearer, goes, you see that Philistine outpost? We'll go up next to it. If they say, hey, come here, boys, then that's when we know Yahweh has given them into our hands. But if they say, hey, let's come down to you, then they just say, come down to you. And he hasn't given to us. But when they got there, what did the guy say? Come up. And so they slay the Philistines. And then that is what caused a lot of turmoil in the Philistine camp. And it brought victory for the rest of the Israelites. Well, then Saul made an oath going, everyone, like, you just got done hardcore fighting. And now he made an oath to Yahweh saying, no one touch food. You know how hungry you'll be? And so Jonathan, though, not hearing about the oath to Yahweh, eat some honey. And so, but then because the vow was broken, Yahweh wasn't answering Saul's prayer. And so Saul inquired, and it turned out because Jonathan ate honey, not knowing of the oath. Yeah. Well, Saul went out to try to kill his son. And the soldiers were like, whoa, he brought about this by seeking Yahweh. Do not kill him. And so the men saved Jonathan's hair. I recently watched a Britain movie called In the Loop, a Monty Python-esque version of how we came to invade Iraq. It was a cynical, fictionalized account of how the implications of intelligence from the Middle East got turned upside down to justify an invasion that some people in government were determined to bring about one way or another. It reminded me of the expression, the fog of war, which summarizes a point made by the Prussian soldier and military thinker Karl von Clausewitz. He noted the problems caused by the great uncertainty of all data in war. Every action you take has to be planned in the kind of twilight. Further, that twilight often has the effect of a fog or moonshine. It gives things exaggerated dimensions and an unnatural appearance. The Fog of War became the title of another movie about Robert McNamara, U.S. Defense Secretary during the Vietnam War, who analyzed 11 mistakes the United States made in Vietnam. Saul marches around in fog as he fights the Philistines. The story starts from the same point as the previous chapter, with Jonathan's victory over the Philistine outposts in the mountains, whose presence suggests Philistine aspirations to control Israel's heartland, and tells of what happens from a different angle. It provides another perspective on why it was inevitable that Saul's monarchy would fail, raising the question whether God chose the wrong man as king unless God wanted the monarchy not to work. Paradoxically, it begins to show how by nature Jonathan looks like a much more promising candidate for leadership. Saul was capable of taking a spectacularly brave initiative when God's spirit burst on him, but he was not this kind of person by nature. In contrast, it is in Jonathan's genes to behave this way. Jonathan's not experiencing God's spirit bursting onto him doesn't mean God is not involved with Jonathan or that Jonathan is not open to God. While Jonathan doesn't wait for God's prompting before he takes some action, he knows there can be a difference between a merely hair-brained idea and a stratagem that God will bless. Hence his perhaps. You cannot take for granted that God will bless your harebrained schemes. Further, the fog of war means that on your own you may not be able to discern the difference between a great stratagem and a harebrained scheme. The reality of the fog of war is one piece of background in this magnificent awareness that God... The reality of the fog of war is one piece of background to this magnificent awareness that God has no difficulty giving Israel deliverance by means of a large army unit or just a couple of guys. Gideon's story in Judges 6-7 shows as much. Strange things happen in war, and you can sometimes see God behind the way they work out. So Jonathan sets up the possibility of God's giving him a sign, as Gideon once did. Jonathan's approach may be a little like tossing a coin and trusting God for the result, though the way he sets up the question may not be random. An army unit that is prepared to come out to fight looks like a more courageous outfit than one that simply sits in its outpost, believing its secure position protects it. We know from the beginning of chapter 13 that Saul and Jonathan have two separate bases with separate groups of men, and Saul is probably not to be faulted by being unaware of what Jonathan is doing. When he hears the commotion from across the valley, his first instinct is to consult God about what is going on and about what he should do. He was with him a priest called Ahitub, whose father had died in a catastrophe related in chapter 4, and Ahitub has the ephod with him. It is a sign of Saul's awareness that when you are fighting God's battles, you need to take God's servants with you so that you can check out that you are taking the action in which God directs you. At one level, Saul knows as well as Jonathan does that you do not fight as if war is a purely secular enterprise. So Saul gets Ahitub to consult God, but before the process is over, he concluded that he cannot afford to wait. He again needs to take decisive action. The chapter tells the same story as unfolded as Gilgal in chapter 13. The negative implication about Saul is clear, yet his action does not stop God from giving Israel victory. You can rarely second-guess God or know when mercy would triumph over what he deserved. Unfortunately, Saul takes another false step that compromises the extent of his triumph. In the Old Testament, promises designed to encourage God to give victory are inclined to rebound. Here, Saul's action reminds us of the story of Jephthah in Judges 11. First, Saul's oath tempts his troops into gorging themselves when they at last have the chance to eat after they have become famished. As an act of respect to God, you do not eat an animal's blood, but let it drain out. Because blood stands for life. When blood flows out, life flows out. The men are too hungry to be able to bother with such niceties. At least Saul takes appropriate action in that connection, building a makeshift altar so that they can kill the animal properly as a kind of sacrifice before satisfying their hunger. Then Jonathan unwillingly infringes Saul's promise in the way he finds some refreshment. His eyes brighten. In connection with this event, relations between Saul and his men are reversed. Whereas Saul thinks the same way as Jephthah, a promise is a promise is a promise. Even Saul's ordinary soldiers know that God is not a legalist and that it's possible to raise with God the question whether circumstances make it feasible to renegotiate a promise. Some kind of offering can be made to God that can take the place of the life that was promised. So Jonathan's life was saved, but the victory fails to be the extensive one that it might have been. All right, friend, we can start. Hey, Logan.
What's up?
So
is that the part where Saul gives the sacrifice when he wasn't supposed to?
It's after that.
Oh, okay.
We already read that.
So that already happened.
Mm-hmm. And the kingdom was. Saul
Forget
said,
what part you guys are on.
yeah. So we're at the part where Jonathan just. So literally just after that. So at the part now where Jonathan is. He goes to his arm bearer and goes, let's go up to the outpost. If they say come up to us, God's given us victory. If not, then pretty much we stay put.
Yep. Minotaur.
Oh, I'm out of dodges. A two-hander. Yeah, I want my. Hmm. So start giving me chance of set bonuses. Yeah, all the monies.
Oh, I guess Demetrius has COVID.
Oh.
Just heard that. Just an email out.
Hmm.
Did you ever? Well, I know you were reading Hebrews for Everyone a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever finish that?
I did finish it, yeah.
I was gonna start it again because I didn't finish it.
Got the distractions.
Yeah. I mean, I've
Damn.
already read the book a lot of times, so it's kind of boring.
I love Hebrews for Everyone, actually.
Yeah.
You can find a pawn shop. Bombs do I have? I need the heart. All right, I'll be back. The Panera beverages are going through me. Oh. He's always such a hard boss.
Which one?
It's like the overgrowth one where oh. Go, go, go. Huh. Thank you, Daniel. I'm officially part of the Elohim camp. What can I say? Oh, 16 cinders though, man. Makes your stomach always in your chest. There's never a moment where it's not in your chest. And it's beautiful. That was intense. Oh, it's the crystal one. I'll take it. Don't like this. Don't like this. Such a silly goose. I meant to have this equipped. Don't want fencing. Ooh. How much I like lightning. You know, won't let me get ascend to the throne. At least it'll help me defeat the dragon, which I'm just going for. Oh, that's an accessory, my bad. I'm a fan. Oh, that's also accessory. Oh, I'm such a silly goose. Come on. Oh, come on. Like something with Bailey, right? It's plaything? That's what my mom said. Yeah. Finally, the bolt light. I meant for her, like, the. Ah, my God. Oh, my Lanza. Let's try it. Why is that so funny? Oh, man. Oh.
Oh, now I wrote. Hey, quiet tape. Okay, like. Quiet fast. No, no. Like this.
Well, but it had, oh my Lanta. Oof. Let me look at the others. Oh man. Time. Know when you're ready to go on the venture. Back to your ramen. Nice. Oh man. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, hydration, you had your ramen. I'll say after adventure. I've been very flexible in that. I'll say after adventure. So let me know when you're ready. Okay. Mm. Yeah, I can do all the start effects. That makes sense. Don't do chill damage yet. Well, it just brought it down. That's why it has that. But maybe it might curse me if I pick it up because it had that effect. Oh my gosh. Oh, so many effects. No. Well, I would probably easily win this with 0 cinders, but this is my goal. Oh, awesome. What a lucky find. Oh my. Mm-hmm. Has some attack speed right there. And it's also, oh, it's two-hander, okay. Hey, nothing to focus on the big dude. No, I mean, his effects are very annoying. He sends out 4 of those tridents, and he also has the circular doodads. Luckily, I don't have to get close, though, so. Whew. Whoa. And what looks like that'll be the best. I mean, at least gives me one of those. So you dodge at least 3 times. Can we? Oh. More bombs. I'll refill after this. There we go. I'll just sell you later. I'll get a melee weapon later too. That's true. Richie. Chasers away from me. Okay. They have super armor. Oh man. Ooh. Yeah, definitely did.
Do you want to play Elden Ring?
I still haven't been in with the deprived guy yet.
Ah.
Hmm. You'll need pawn shop. Oh man. Nope, I will not be able to go through there. Alright. It's not money, it's health. And I only am down to 1 HP. Oh yeah. There's no way I'll be able to take out the minions before. Oh. Felt that in my stomach. You ready to do a venture? Alright, let's knock out a venture. We'll be right back, friends.